looks like the BBC is continuing the time-honored European tradition of smearing independent African leaders to justify regime change. Here they're citing a report from Human Rights Watch accusing Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso of unaliving over 100 civilians. But I've learned that when it comes to Human Rights Watch, you have to read beyond the headlines, because they are very tricky in the way that they lie about global events. And if you read the fine print here, you'll see that Traoré's forces were actually fighting against Islamist extremists aligned with Al-Qaeda. And after this attack was launched, the Islamist extremists responded by unaliving a bunch of civilians. And look at how Human Rights Watch frames this. They say that the Islamists were assisting the government. No, they were fighting the government. They were actively unaliving each other. And then when the government forced out the Islamists, they retaliated by unaliving a bunch of civilians. And then when BBC put that into a headline, they removed all of the context and made it sound like only the government was unaliving civilians. It's some of the most disgusting and reprehensible journalistic trickery I've ever seen, but this is par for the course for Human Rights Watch. When I read beyond their headlines, I am always amazed at how misleading the headlines actually are. The reality is that 40% of Burkina Faso is controlled by extremists, and Ibrahim Traoré is leading the struggle against them, which is why he needs to be protected from the West and their propaganda at all costs. If you're an American, you can join the American Communist Party, as we're actively fighting to bring an end to U.S. imperialism. Africa is going to see so much political and economic development once they get the boot of the Western imperialists off of their neck.
Welcome back to AfriFreedom Channel, your trusted platform for bold, honest, and unfiltered discussions that center African voices and liberation. If you are new here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We deliver powerful updates like this one that challenge the dominant narratives and inspire unity, awareness, and action. As you engage with today's video, we encourage you to drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Speak your truth, but do so respectfully. Your perspective matters in this fight for our collective dignity and liberation. The views expressed in this video are based on publicly available information, political analysis, and the values upheld by AfriFreedom Channel. We do not endorse violence or hatred of any kind. Our aim is to inform, educate, and awaken critical consciousness on matters affecting African people globally.
Lie. This is very serious. First of all, he talked about Burkina's gold being used for what? For us, to protect ourselves and all that. First, it's Burkina's gold, it's not his gold. That's the first thing. What business is it of his? It's none of his business. It's Burkina's gold. It doesn't concern him. Second thing, he's lying. Because Burkina never had any gold reserves until we came. We were the ones who started setting aside gold in the treasury of Burkina Faso. Otherwise, there wasn't a single gram of gold reserves in Burkina. So that means he's a liar, again. And another thing, when he says that, we use it to protect ourselves and all that. We're free. If the people have decided that we should govern them, we have a duty to protect ourselves. So we are free. What business is it of his? And the part that hurt me the most, not because he's a general or because he's American or anything like that, but because he's black. And it really hurts to see a black man being used to fight against another black man. And this didn't start just now. It has to stop.
Viewer discretion is advised. In a moment that has ignited fierce discussions across Africa and its diaspora, President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso issued a direct and unapologetic message to U.S. Africa Command General Michael Langley: stop using black people against black people. This statement was not just an emotional outburst, it was a precise indictment of a long-standing pattern of betrayal that has cost African nations their sovereignty, stability, and resources.
They're not going away. They are coming to power. One way or the other, you're going to see the rise of the black man and the black woman on the continent and in the diaspora. This is our time. You can't stop it. And I'm not just talking to the enemy in white skin, I'm talking to you Negroes. You sellouts. You traitors who spend your days dreaming about seeing your own people destroyed. Imagine a mentality like that, man. People if working night and day to undermine other black people whose only aspiration is to see the total liberation of our people. But with your small peanut mind, your small peanut head, you think that you are to be in control of everything and everyone. Foolish people.
Traoré's words were a response to General Langley's April 3rd claim before the U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee that Burkina Faso's gold reserves were being used to protect a junta regime. A statement that reeks of hypocrisy, given the centuries of Western looting of African wealth under the guise of order. Why is it that when African nations reclaim their resources, it's labeled a threat? Why is gold only seen as legitimate when it flows into Western vaults? Are we finally seeing a shift in leadership that prioritizes African dignity over global approval? Traoré's retort wasn't just about gold. It was about historical memory. It was a clear-eyed reminder that General Langley's role fits into a troubling lineage, one that includes other black individuals who have chosen to serve Western imperial interests rather than stand with their own people. He even referenced former U.S. President Barack Obama, who oversaw the 2011 NATO-led invasion of Libya, a decision that destabilized an entire region and led to open-air slave markets in North Africa. What does it mean when a black face is used to justify white power? Is representation enough, or should loyalty to the people be the real measure? How many more times will Africa be asked to applaud its own oppression simply because it's delivered in a familiar skin tone?
Et le volet qui m'a le plus fait mal, pas parce qu'il est général ou parce que c'est un Américain ou quoi, c'est parce que c'est un noir. Et ça fait très mal de voir qu'on utilise un noir pour combattre un noir. Et ça n'a pas commencé maintenant. Il faut que ça s'arrête. Voilà, c'est très dangereux. Même la Libye, qui a détruit la Libye, on a encore utilisé un noir. Et je souhaite peut-être qu'il fasse un mea culpa. Il a parlé de l'or de Burkina qui sert à ce que nous on utilise pour se protéger et tout. D'abord, c'est l'or du Burkina, c'est pas son or. Ça, c'est la première des choses. En quoi ça le regarde? Ça le regarde, il faut que ça s'arrête maintenant. La race noire ne doit pas être utilisée pour combattre les noirs. Ils peuvent le regretter, par plusieurs canaux, ils essaient de se rattraper. Mais non, ça a été dit publiquement, il faut se rattraper publiquement. Africain a compris, la jeunesse noire dans le monde entier a compris. Cette manipulation ne passe plus.
This confrontation has sparked global outrage and solidarity. On April 30th, protests broke out not only in Burkina Faso but also in cities like London, Paris, and Accra. Africans worldwide are saying, enough. We will not allow our resources to be used as chains, and we will not allow our leaders to be dictated to by foreign powers, especially when those powers have exploited us for centuries. What does global solidarity look like today, and are we doing enough to stand with leaders who risk everything to free their people? Are we courageous enough to defend our truth when it's inconvenient for global superpowers? Traoré's message is a warning, but it's also an invitation. An invitation for all African people to interrogate the systems we serve and the leaders we follow. It's a call for vigilance, for memory, and for action. The time has come to stop praising our oppressors just because they wear our skin. How do we hold accountable those who betray their people from within? And more importantly, how do we rebuild a Pan-African unity rooted not in titles or allegiances to colonial powers, but in shared dignity, freedom, and justice? At AfriFreedom Channel, we believe that moments like this are not just news, they are history in motion. President Ibrahim Traoré's stance has set a new precedent in African resistance politics. It's raw. It's honest. And it's necessary. So, what will we do with this moment? Will we continue to allow our people to be pawns in a game they didn't design, or will we stand up and reclaim the future we deserve? If this episode stirred something in you, don't just click away. Share your thoughts below, engage with your community, and stay with us. Subscribe, because we are just getting started. The battle for African freedom is far from over, and your voice is part of that struggle. Until next time, stay aware, stay bold, and stay free. This is AfriFreedom Channel, liberating the narrative.